Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to the Fairy Amazon Challenge in The Sims 4. We are following the reign of Queen Justin Crocusfade, who has recently settled into the fairy royal grounds with her newly established court. After mingling with the other fairies, she has decided to appoint Lady Brent Falcon Russell and Lady Katarina Night Ember as her counselors. She feels they will make a sturdy support for her as she learns to navigate what it means to be queen and leader of the Fae. Of course, the first order of business is to begin the breeding season. Already, the Queen knows that her best chance at unifying the court will be to give them stability and assurance of the future with the birth of a crown princess. For this reason, she has summoned a peasant male to the court and chosen him as her first breeder. Let's take a look at him in Cass. Izzy Strike is a peasant fairy and our first breeder. He aspires to be a party animal and has the traits cheerful, outgoing, and genius. Izzy was a priest of the nature spirits, helping to keep fairy communities together and facilitating for the entry of new fairies into the Fae forest. Being a new bloodline himself, he wanted to ensure that fairies who had been turned as children felt welcomed into the complex world of the Fae. His good cheer and friendly nature has made him a much-loved fairy, and this hasn't escaped the Queen's notice. She feels that it will be a good choice for her to have her first child with such an esteemed member of the Fae Forest. In terms of genetics, he has warm 9 skin, red 9 hair, and dark brown eyes. Regarding wings, I like the idea that fairy males have smaller wings than the females, who are also the authoritarian figures of Fae society. And I haven't mentioned Izzy's wing color because the children will always inherit the wing color from their mothers, so in a way it traces bloodline. Okay, we are picking up at 1 AM on Wednesday and we finally have some gameplay going. The Queen is ready to have her first kiss and get the breeding season underway. So she's gonna make a move with Izzy over here, and I love seeing the beautiful wings of our fairies. It looks so good. But she has gone off to the side just a little. Now I am unsure how drastic the fairies are going to be in that. Will they have a fairy woohoo in the sky in private, or is it going to be a public affair that happens before the whole court? I don't know. I feel like sometimes the fairies might be a little bit more frisky and dramatic than the vampires. So let's see how she goes with him. But okay, I think we might need a little bit more romance. Let's attempt a mistletoe kiss. Things are getting steamy. I'll see how embarrassed maybe she becomes. I mean, it would be a public woohoo, but you know. Okay, the Queen has returned to the throne room with her breeder Izzy, and I think they are going to try for a baby in the sky. I'm not sure if breeding will be a public affair for every single fairy, but since they are creatures who thrive off emotions, I imagine that sometimes they do like frisky situations like this, which put them in a state of heightened emotion. So let's go ahead with Izzy. And where is it? Offer to try for baby in sky. So let's go ahead and see what happens there. Now she does have a steamy dynamic with Izzy. And okay, she's sending all her fairies away. Oh, look at that. That is so cool. Okay, she sent the fairies away, so they know what's about to go down in the throne room. Look at how cute that looks. Oh my goodness, that is so cute. They are literally woohooing in the throne room. Okay, well, she's getting her reign started off with a bang. Literally. But look at how cool that looks with the sparkles and the little hearts. And I'm just curious, where are the others? Oh, okay. I love this. This is so funny. So not everyone is prying. Katarina does not wish to pry. Bren is, I don't know, partially prying, not really. But these two, Supriya and Brent, They are watching. They are being witnesses to the Fae Queen trying to produce a crown princess. I mean fair. But she did say we need some space. No one in the immediate vicinity of the throne room while this happens. Oh my goodness. That was so mystical. That was so mystical. That was so cool. And look at how much fairy dust. Look at how much fairy dust they spilled all over the place. Granted, some of this is actually from Our Ladies, but we have some up near the throne as well on the platform. Look at that. I'm not even going to pick this up right now. We'll kind of just leave it. This is kind of pretty, but we'll leave it until we need it for something. And now we need to see whether or not our queen was successful in her attempt to breed. Our queen has become innately aware of her pregnancy, and she is announcing that to the whole court. So I think everyone is going to be pretty happy to know that our queen is expectant and going to have hopefully an heir pretty soon. I think everyone's going to assume that it will be a crown princess, since the stability of the court kind of rides on this. So our queen, if she stands up a little bit, we'll be able to see she's already in her first trimester. She's got a teeny weeny little bump, which is really, really cute. Queenie, do you wanna stand up? Leave the throne perhaps? Yep, there we go. You can kind of see she's got a little bit of a bump, and I have put down her due date on the calendar. It is on Saturday at 5 a.m. So in 3 days' time, she will be due, which is exciting. Then we'll head over to the birth chamber and have hopefully our crown princess born. So all of those exciting things. Now, very quickly, I wanted to mention some other stuff that was on my mind, which I haven't gotten a chance to really talk about just yet. The first is that all of the ladies we have over here, and then our male breeder, they are new bloodlines that have been created by the nature spirits, which means they have a 0% genetic sickness. They're all 100% healthy. They will gain genetic sickness, or they will pass on genetic sickness, I should say, depending on how many ailments they get from here on. Now, the way we'll know whether someone is a new bloodline or not, if we go over to the Simology panel, if they do not have the high Fae trait, then it means they were not born a fairy and they were transformed from human children into fairies within our world lore. Obviously, all of the children born within the court are going to have that high Fae trait, which means they had fairy parents. So the only fairies that can have 0 genetic sickness are going to be the new bloodlines that are transformed from humans. But the children, more likely than not, we'll have to see how often ailments happen. They will probably be born with some level of genetic sickness. So every fairy here is kind of responsible for staying as healthy as possible. Otherwise, they will pass these things, in the future to their children. And every generation after them is just going to get weaker than the last. And eventually they will die out, which is not the goal over here. The other thing I wanted to talk about kind of has to do a little bit with their clothing. With the vampires, I feel like they try and be a little bit more perfect and clean cut in the way they dress. But with the fairies, as you can see, they have tatters in their clothes. Some of the other garments you'll see them wear, they'll have like patches and stuff sewn onto their clothes, and it doesn't look as extravagant as the vampires do, or what you might expect from nobility and royalty. I feel like that has a lot to do with fairy culture and superstition. The fairies, because they are already so sick as a society, they have this superstition that if you are too perfect, you will make the nature spirits of another family jealous, and the nature spirits will turn around and do something bad to you. They will make you more sick. Something will happen. So you have to try and be imperfect, live a little bit more humbly, right? So that you don't incur the jealousy and the wrath of another family's nature spirit, because every family has their own nature spirit. So I think that's pretty cool, and that's why they do have more of a ragged sort of look to them, a more of a wild look to them, which I kind of like. So that is all well and great. We have apparently a cursed book somewhere on the property. I don't know when I'll be able to find that, or if I'll be able to find that and resolve it. Okay guys, the court has been dismissed. We have Izzy moved into the male faculty, and I have been learning quite a few tidbits of information about our fairies. So I went on this whole feeding fest to try and get them to absorb emotions so that they could have some emotional force, because obviously I don't want my little fairies starving and dying, right? And I initially thought that I would get the fairies to absorb emotions from each other to feed themselves like vampires, but that gives you a negative relationship, and they need quite a bit of emotions absorbed to get food, right? And it just wasn't working out. And then I thought to myself, well, we have Izzy, he's in the male faculty, we'll probably just feed from him. And that solves the issue of these fairies hating each other, becoming enemies, and having reckonings, right? Unnecessary reckonings that have nothing to do with the story. So we basically spent 20 minutes hunting Izzy. Every single lady absorbed his emotions, and he had a very rough time, and he was holed up in the wellness room for a little bit. Some of these ladies did get overloaded, but thankfully nothing has happened to them. And I was just thinking of how unsustainable it would be for me to constantly be absorbing someone's emotion and feeding that way. Because whenever you finish one round of feeding, then the ladies, they already need feeding again. And then I discovered that apparently you can click on a fairy house, and this is why a fairy house is very necessary. You can regenerate emotional force just by being in the fairy house. Not only that, but you can also grab all this fairy dust, and for every 2 piles of fairy dust you have, you can regenerate your own force, like your own emotional force, which is amazing. And the queen already has some fairy dust. Do the others not? Well, apparently not. So I am going to make sure that I start collecting up some fairy dust, or, I suppose we can leave the fairy dust here and every once in a while we can just collect. But I do want to make sure that my other fairies, they at least have some fairy dust, like keep 4 piles at least. So you have some fairy dust on hand to feed yourselves. That would be nice. It was great for me to learn this, because I was really concerned about how long these fairies could go without food. And they weren't autonomously feeding either, which I found kind of concerning. Granted, the vampires don't too, but still, I feel like you can get away a little bit with the vampires not feeding them nearly as often if you just give them a drink. But let's get some of these fairies up. Bren has been spending way too much time sleeping in the queen's fairy house. This is where the queen should be sleeping, just saying. Can we not? Oh wait, we can regenerate from here. We just have to have... What do you mean, 1 pile of fairy dust? We have fairy dust, don't lie to me. We have a pile of fairy dust. Why are you lying to me? Hold on a second. We have fairy dust! There's fairy dust. Look, there's a pile of magical fairy dust. Unless that's not valid fairy dust. Oh my goodness, if that's not valid fairy dust. Is the game glitching fairy dust? It keeps saying 1 pile of fairy dust. It doesn't recognize the fairy dust we have here. Well, that is rude. Okay, well, maybe they're gonna have to just regenerate emotional force in the fairy house. Like, that is an option. Well, I'm gonna send the queen into the fairy house then to regenerate her emotional force. I did want to show you guys what it looked like when you absorbed the force of someone. Is she close to overloading? I don't think so. Okay, I'm gonna use the queen just really quickly to show you guys what it looks like when you do. Izzy, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, Izzy. He has finally found some peace. She's terrified. If you're wondering why she's terrified, it is because we did finally manage to track down the cursed book that was hovering in the castle. We destroyed it. It set the gallery on fire. Everyone almost died from starvation. Thankfully, the fire went out, and I did manage to feed them. So some things have happened, but all of that, it was just stretching way too long, and I didn't want to just be there for eons and eons with, unnecessary things. So, oh, this is so pretty. But Izzy, don't walk away from us. Okay, look at this. Against this beautiful backdrop, the queen is going to absorb his emotions. There we go. And she's going to become overloaded if she does any more. She is already in her second trimester because that is how much time I have spent trying to figure this out. She's going to go swim? Oh! Wait, if you bathe in this water, does it help with your emotions? That would be interesting if it was the case. Because it says, oh, are you kidding me? This is so pretty. Wait. When I built the fairy grounds here, this was not part of the plan? But are you telling me we have access? We have access to the mystical waters here. And we can just send everyone to bathe when they need to feed? They don't even have to go to the fairy house? Oh my goodness, I am discovering things. Izzy, thank you so much for this. And then we can like bottle emotions? How many potion bottles can we bottle? I'm just curious. Because I thought the fairy dust was a solution. Because you guys were throwing fairy dust everywhere, but apparently that isn't the case. Okay, we'll get her to bottle the water, and I want to know if there's like a limit to how much you can bottle, if I can bottle a few, and then make sure all the fairies are carrying a little bit. Okay. That's exciting. Oh, once every 12 hours. Oh, okay. But scared emotion potion. Well, that's not too exciting. Well, we have this, but it is unlimited to come in here and just bathe. That's amazing. You guys all need to come and bathe in these mystical waters, please. Like, all of you need to be bathing in these mystical waters. Come on, ladies. Come on. Let's wade in these beautiful mystical waters, please. Because that is so, so pretty. Does that get hygiene up? It gets hygiene up as well? Oh my goodness. Why wouldn't we spend time there? We have to move the castle every generation. Oh, wait, not the castle. We have to move the royal grounds, or at least I'd like to every generation. But if we have these kind of benefits here, I don't know if I'm going to want to move, or if we're just going to want to rebuild the fairy grounds, you know? Like, this is so nice. Access to this beautiful mystical pond. Oh, it's not a pond. It's a lake. Is it a lake? I don't know. It's so pretty though. It is so pretty, and it helps with our emotional force. This is so good. If we just have, it gets our fun up, it gets our hygiene up, and our emotional force. So maybe every once in a while, unlike the vampires who have to go hunt acolytes, we can just get our fairies and our court members to come here for a little excursion, for them to all just bathe, get their emotional force up. That is actually so, so nice. That is so nice. I'm so glad I discovered that. I am a happy little cookie right now. And okay, the queen wants to go take a nap. So that was one thing that happened. And something else did also occur that I want to talk about. But the queen, let's go and get her to take a nap. I find it so cute the way she holds her belly as she is kind of flying. And where are your wings? Do you not have your wings out? Sometimes they just don't want to take their wings out. I might have to get her to conceal her fairy form and get back into her fairy form to show her wings. But oh, look at her. She's taking a bit of a nap. This place is so pretty. The other thing that I want to talk about before we wrap up the video is ailments. So Lady Supriya did contract an ailment. It seems as though our genetic sickness has already started. So I wanted to really quickly read over this so we get more of an understanding about what's happening. Lady Supriya has contracted an ailment. Ailments have various effects and can be a source of suffering or surprising strength. These can come from being very imbalanced, but ailments can also be contracted through contagious spread, like interacting with other Sims who have ailments, using a toilet away from Lady Supriya's home lot, or sometimes just waking up a little under the weather. Ailments will pass naturally after some time, but Lady Supriya may wish to cure it sooner. Ailment cures and preventative elixirs can be crafted at an apothecary table, visiting a naturopath, or fairies having an ability to remove them as well. Try asking a fairy friend, which I have attempted, but none of our fairies have the ability to cure anyone just yet. I think it's something you have to get. It is something you have to get. So we're going to have to look into getting one of our ladies on the apothecary table. And at the time of her getting this ailment, the closest fairy to her was Lady Katarina. So Katarina has been trying her best to get her apothecary skill up. She currently has a skill level of 1, which she has made 32% progress on, but she needs level 2 skill to be able to make the cure needed for whatever Supriya has, which is the sonic sinuses ailment. Lady Supriya's sneezes have become destructive waves, breaking things around her, though she can feel this ailment giving her an innate sense of how to fix things. So beforehand, I was wondering how much motivation the fairies would have to actually cure someone with an ailment. If it's contagious though, of course you're going to want to cure it. We have a pregnant sim currently in the court, which is the queen herself, and if that spreads to the queen, then it is going to damage the royal bloodline. It is going to give our future prince or princess genetic sicknesses, which we don't want. Now obviously I'm noting down the fact that Supriya has contracted an ailment, so even if she heals from this, if she has a child, she is going to pass on a genetic sickness of 1% to that child because she did get one ailment. So it's already looking a little bit rough for Supriya's bloodline. She has already started getting sick, and I'm very nervous about the fact that it is contagious. But these guys, Katarina, you guys, have you been... Hold on a second. Are you guys not basking in emotions? There we go. Some of these ladies are not. You guys need to be basking in emotions, not bathing yourselves. Come on, get into the waters. There we go. That's what you need to be doing. You need to be floating in the waters, getting all these emotions in. Wonderful. And Katarina, yes, like I said, has been hard at work. And oh my goodness, don't tell me. Oh, wait, what? Hold on. We have more ailments. Oh no. Well, she has the luck magnet ailment, so Lady Bran has also gotten an ailment. The queen does not have an ailment. Hold on, I need to check. I'm gonna have to regularly check this, because I don't exactly know every ailment out there. So right now, Bran and Supriya have an ailment. I'm so worried about Katarina. Okay, who is the closest to Bran? If we have multiple ailments going on at a time, you know, at first I was thinking, guys, that whoever's closest to a fairy will have to cure them of their ailment, but I might change that. I might make it so that whichever fairy is sick has to cure their own ailment, because imagine if we have 5, 6 sick fairies at one time. It's gonna be so confusing to keep track of who needs to cure who. I think it might be better for us to just have the sick fairies cure their own ailments. Oh my goodness, Bren. That is... yeah, this is gonna be way too confusing if we have multiple sick sims. So that's an adjustment I'll have to make. Katarina, you are off the hook. You no longer have to worry about Supriya. She needs to worry about herself. So I'm definitely going to be getting onto that soon. I'm also realizing the necessity of having multiple apothecary tables. Thankfully, this spot where we do have the apothecary table set up, we have space for multiple. So what I might actually do is set up multiple, I might rearrange this somehow to set up multiple tables where everyone can go and, you know, help themselves out with their sicknesses. Because this is a little bit wild. Now, unfortunately, we did not manage to get any We did not manage to get any whims done this time around, but I think it was a very informative episode about some of the cool things we can do with fairies, also some of the concerning things that we will have to overcome with fairies. But now I have a slightly better understanding of the world that we are in and a slightly better understanding of what exactly we are playing with. Like with vampires, I know from A to Z how they work, so it is very easy for me to figure things out, whereas for these guys, they're new, so not so much. But I am developing an understanding, and when we come back, we'll probably have a better time, getting the story moving. But okay guys, with that said and done, I am going to wrap up here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.